We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. Hold that for a second. That line, whether you first read it in a book or heard it from a teacher, points to a simple truth. Identity is sculpted by repetition, not by dramatic decisions made once, but by small daily steps. James Clear, in Atomic Habits, calls this the compound effect of tiny changes. He says, you don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. In other words, big ambitions fail or succeed based on the small, invisible routines you run every morning and every evening. Think about two people with the same goal. Both want to write a book. One decides to write 1,000 words on a weekend sprint. It rarely happens. The other writes 200 words every morning before emails. Over time, those 200-word days add up. Systems win where willpower fails. So, what are habits, really? At their simplest, habits are automated responses to context. A cue appears, a routine runs, a reward follows. That loop, cue, routine, reward, is the engine of behavior. Change the cue or the environment, and you change the outcome. Make progress tiny enough to be certain, and momentum becomes inevitable. Now, let's get practical. I'll give you a 3-part framework you can use today to build habits that last. Start tiny. Stack smart. Shape the environment. Part 1. Start tiny. One of the biggest mistakes is thinking you need to be heroic. You don't. The smallest version of the habit is the one you will actually do. Want to exercise? Start with 1 bodyweight squat. Want to read more? Start with 1 paragraph. That's it. Why? It works. Small wins remove the friction of beginning. They avoid the emotional resistance that kills intentions. Part 2. Stack smart. Habit stacking means attaching a new habit to something you already do reliably. After I brush my teeth, I will write 1 sentence. After my morning coffee, I will do 2 minutes of stretching. By piggybacking onto existing anchors, you avoid creating more cognitive load. You use your day's existing structure to carry the new action. Part 3. Shape the environment. The environment is the silent architect of behavior. Make the cue obvious, the desired action easy, and the reward satisfying. Want healthier eating? Put fruit on the counter, hide snacks in opaque containers, and pre-portion meals. Want to write? Keep your laptop open, document ready, and notifications off. Remove the tiny frictions that tip you back into old habits. These 3 moves are how ordinary people become consistent. But let's address the psychology. Why do small things compound? Because of identity change. When you do a tiny habit and repeat it, you start to internalize a new identity. You don't just do push-ups. You become someone who does push-ups. That identity seals the habit in place. To accelerate change, ask yourself not, what do I want to achieve, but who do I want to become? Then pick 1 action that person would do daily. Next, a few real examples so this stops being theory. Example 1. The writer, instead of promising a manuscript, she chooses this identity. I am a writer who writes. Her system, write 150 words after breakfast, 5 days a week. After a month, 150 daily words turn into momentum. She becomes someone who writes. The identity has shifted. So missing a day feels like a break from who she is, not just a missed task. Example 2. The healthier worker, he wants better sleep, so his system is small. No screens 30 minutes before bed. 1 minute of deep breathing and water by the bedside. That tiny ritual becomes a signal to his brain that sleep is coming. Over weeks, falling asleep faster becomes the norm, and energy improves. Example 3. The learner, she wants to know more about leadership. Her system, Read one page every night and write one sentence summarizing it. After 60 days, that page-a-night habit becomes a book a month and a mind rewired for leadership. But habits don't exist in a vacuum. You will face obstacles, boredom, life changes, travel, stress. Here are 3 resilience tactics to protect your system when life gets messy. First, reduce the friction. Have a backup plan. If you can't run, do a 2-minute mobility routine. If you can't write, open the Notes app and type one line. Keep the habit threshold so low that in chaos, you still can do it. Second, track and celebrate. Use a simple calendar or habit tracker and mark each day you do the habit. Don't wait for big milestones, celebrate the streak. The visual cue of progress is motivating in itself. We are wired to protect progress. Don't break the chain. Third, design for environment jumps. When travel will break routine, pack a tiny ritual in your bag. A 2-minute breathing audio, a pocket notebook, or resistance band. When you plan for disruption, you're more likely to sustain identity than surrender it. Now, let's talk about temptation. Temptation is simply a conflict between present reward and future value. The antidote is to make the future reward feel immediate. Tie pleasure to the habit. Pair the hard thing with something you enjoy. For example, only listen to a favorite podcast while you walk. That way, the habit gets its own immediate reward. Over time, the reward shifts from external to internal. You begin to enjoy the practice itself. One more powerful lever: habit audits. Once every 2 weeks, review which habits are serving you, which are draining you. Trim chores that don't align with your identity. Double down on those that do. Systems should evolve with your life. The goal isn't perfection, it's sustainability. Ask, is this habit maintaining who I want to be? If not, adjust. Before we close, let's make this actionable. I'm giving you a 7-day microsystem plan designed to create momentum in any area you pick. Health, creativity, focus, or relationships. Pick one domain and commit to the tiny habit mapped below. Do it for 7 days and notice how small consistency compounds. 7-day microsystem, pick one domain. Day 1. Start tiny 1 minute of the action. Day 2. Stack it to an existing routine after X, do Y. Day 3. Make the cue obvious, leave tools visible. Day 4. Reduce friction, prepare a backup. Day 5. Add a small immediate reward podcast. 1-minute celebration. Day 6. Track the streak, mark your calendar. Day 7. Audit and adjust what worked. What didn't, then scale the tiny habit by 10 to 30%. Do this not to prove you're disciplined, but to prove the system works. The discipline you need is built into the system you design. Let me leave you with a few anchor lines to carry into the week. You do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. Small habits, repeated, compound into remarkable results. And identity is forged in repetition. Which identity are you choosing today? Who do you want to become when nobody's watching? Start tiny, stack smart, shape your environment. Over time, the small things will build a life you recognize and respect. Follow MySoloSky for daily mindset shifts that move you forward. Start one tiny habit today, then repeat it tomorrow.